Good afternoon and welcome to Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. Alongside John Kovac, I'm Kevin Coleman. We're going to catch up with all around the FCAC today. We got some football talk, and as well we'll switch things over to FCAC boys and girls soccer. But at this time, I'd like to welcome in my co-host, John Kovac. John, how's it going? We had a great show yesterday during Nutmeg Sports. We got a lot covered, especially with the boys soccer playoff picture. We've got some good football talk in as well. Exactly, and now we'll talk a little bit about the girls. We're being joined by Tim Murphy, who's sports editor of the Ridgefield Press. Yeah, Tim, we're going to bring him in. Sports editor of the Ridgefield Press. You've been around this boys and girls soccer team, but let's focus on the girls right now because Monday night, what a remarkable big win for the Ridgefield girls soccer team, taking down the #1 St. Joe's girls team.
Yeah, it was quite a performance. I mean, Ridgefield, no one's going to doubt them now. You got to take them seriously. They came in, they lost a lot of great players. And, their skill level might be a little down, but they really, they have enough skill and they're really compensating with their work rate. I mean, they just really outworked St. Joe's the other night. Well, let's talk about that game because they win that game 2-0. It seemed like they really had good control of the game. Great opportunities, but St. Joe's as well, you can't discredit them. They had some good opportunities, but again, that back four for the Tigers, again, stepping up big, and Castle between the pipes, again, just showing off that junior, really showing the experience and really earning her varsity minutes. Yeah, that back line is such a strength. I mean, and that's, when you have a younger team and you want to have a strong back line, which they certainly do, and you really can't go up the middle with their two central defenders, Barlow and Claire Middlebrook. So teams try to go outside, but, you got Anna Landler on one side and some of the younger players on the other side. And Lauren Castle's really, done a good job. She's been aggressive coming off her line. So the defense is fine. 4 goals they've allowed all year. And the offense is picking it up. You have a lot of younger players, but, some of them have a lot of skill.
Tim, this is going to sound odd because this is a team that was unbeaten through 10 games, but did Ridgefield need this win as a statement win for people to finally start to believe in a team that hasn't lost all year?
I think they did. I think they've had some other marquee wins lately, Darien and Wilton, but I think this was the one that really, I think they believed in themselves, but yeah, in terms of other people, I think this is the one that's going to wake people up and say, hey, you can't blame it on their schedule. They really, they've taken down the top team right now, so you got to consider them maybe the favorite now going forward.
And you look at St. Joe's. This is supposed to be a loaded roster, and you got to think that for this team, looking into 2017, they might have figured that Ridgefield was going to take a little bit of a loss here. Maybe this was their opportunity to jump in and take the crown. But right now, after that big win on Monday, what kind of statement does that send to St. Joe's?
Yeah, St. Joe's, that's got to be a wake-up call. I know their coach was saying they didn't play well in the tie with Trumbull before that. It could be a case they've just got a lot of talent and they're not working as hard, but they're going to have to pick up their work rate. This has got to inspire them for the FCACs because they really kind of hung their heads after they got down in that game Monday night, and they just need a better response. They've certainly got the talent to do that.
Murph, who are the teams to watch as we move into the FCAC playoffs?
Yeah, the girls, I still think that, you've got the top rung. I think you'd have Ridgefield, St. Joe's, and Staples, and probably Ward, but Wilton is getting better. They had a nice win over Trumbull. So I think, Wilton and Trumbull are right there. So I think out of those 6 teams, probably you could say anyone could win it. Going into the year, I would have thought St. Joe's and Staples, but, they haven't been as dominant as I thought they might be.
And just how good are McMahon and Trumbull, because they both sit here at 23 points and 21 points. How good are those two teams here as they sit 2nd and 3rd in the West Division?
Yeah, McMahon, I still think, I don't know if people are not giving them enough credit. They really, they did tie Ridgefield 2-2. Ridgefield's allowed 4 goals all season, and 2 of them were by McMahon. So, they're not a fluke team at all. They could be right there. They're a pretty tough physical team with some good individual skills. So, I think you probably could add them to the mix. I think it should be interesting because unlike the last couple of years where Ridgefield and St. Joe's had really separated themselves, I don't quite see that this year.
And for the Tigers, it's the young players like you mentioned, Tim, that are stepping up big. And I think one of them is Faith Arnold, the freshman. And arguably, Tim, you and I were on the call last week against Wilton when Ridgefield Tigers beat them 2-0. I think her goal in the second half is seriously up for debate as one of the goals of the year. Just talk about what she has done in her freshman year already to really make a statement for the Ridgefield Tigers.
Yeah, that might have been that could have been the goal of the year in the Premier League. I mean, that was really quite a move to get open. She created some space with some step overs, and then the shot, just perfectly placed. And I talked to her after the game, and she said that her coach had been mentioning, going at defenders when they were kind of backpedaling and taking them on. And so she said, she decided to do that. And, I asked her about the shot placement, and she kind of laughed. So I'm not quite sure that was totally her aim, but it sure worked out.
And for this roster, I mean, you look up and down, they have a good amount of seniors, but it's the juniors and sophomores, I think, that are really the key and the nucleus for this roster right now. I mean, Claire Middlebrook is only a junior. And look at Lauren Castle, a goalie, and she's only a junior as well. These two are stepping up big. I know Catherine Barlow is one of the central defenders as well. She's a senior, but just talk about Claire Middlebrook for me and what she has meant already, throughout her time. And she still has senior year to go.
Catherine Barlow, yeah, I mean, she's in her fourth year starting, first 3 years as a fullback, now into central defense. She's really a calming presence. She really reads the game well, and just having her and Claire Middlebrook, who's a junior back there, I think really helps a younger team, maybe take some chances up front that they might not because they're not quite as worried about transition. And then two other seniors who are kind of go under the radar a little, Emma Jacobson and Erica Linke, the two midfielders. They really are like the engine room of the team. Real high work rate and really win a lot of balls in midfield. And, they might not get in the highlights as much, but they're really two vital players.
Tim, we're about 2 weeks roughly from the start of the FCAC girls soccer playoffs. Do you see the teams at the top of the ladder being the ones to beat, or do you see a sleeper in there that might surprise some people?
With the girls?
Yes.
Yeah, I don't know. I think like the teams we've talked about, I don't know if you can call any of them a sleeper. I guess McMahon, I mean, they've really kind of proven themselves, but I still think if they made the final, people would take notice. So I think they'd come the closest to a sleeper. But otherwise, I think it's pretty balanced with those other 6 teams. That really, you wouldn't be surprised if Trumbull won, Ridgefield won, Staples. I mean, none of those would surprise me.
And Tim, before we let you go, it's not a segment without you and I, unless we talk about the Ridgefield boys soccer team, because right now they have to be talked about. Sitting at the 1 seed right now, a huge win last night, winning 1-0. Just talk about this Ridgefield team, 4-0 last night. Just talk about this Ridgefield team. I mean, very surprising because they went down 0-2 to start the year. JT Ciano comes back, and they're taking the league by storm right now.
Well, I think you said it right there. There was no JT Ciano the first 2 games, and he's obviously shown he's in double-figure scoring, 2 hat tricks. I mean, he could be arguably the state's best striker, and he's just a real goal-scoring machine. They brought back really all their starters from last year. It's a real, it was a senior, junior-loaded class last year. The one absence was JT, who was playing academy soccer. Now you put him back, and they were getting better as last year went on. But the one thing they couldn't really do was find the back of the net, and now with Ciano back, that problem's been solved.
Well, it's going to be a fun finish to the year, not only on the boys' side, but especially the girls' side, especially with both boys, girls, and soccer teams. Tim, thank you so much for joining us. We're looking forward to getting some more soccer action, especially from the Ridgefield side, as we wind down the FCAC soccer season. Thanks, Tim.
Great. Enjoyed it. Thanks, guys.
Thanks. All right, John and I are going to step aside. When we come back, we're going to be joined by Dave Stewart of the New Canaan Advertiser. We're going to talk some football. 2 big football games coming up this weekend. All that next on Nutmeg Sports on the HAN Network.
Had a sports injury or slip and fall that needs immediate care? Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care gives you direct access to orthopedic specialists fast without an appointment. Biking, golf, tennis, soccer, whatever the sports injury is, sprain or fracture, Coastal Orthopedics Walk-In Urgent Care can help. Open 7 days a week now at 3 locations. The iPark Building at 761 Main Avenue, Norwalk, 36 Old Kings Highway South in Darien, or in the Westport Medical Center at 323 Riverside Avenue, Westport. Go to coastalorthoct.com. Like them on Facebook.
At Pamby Motors, we're not worried about being the biggest dealership. We're focused on being the best. We're dedicated to giving you the best experience we can. The Pamby Motors team is here to help you choose the right Chrysler, Jeep, Dodge, or Ram in a friendly, pressure-free environment. And right now, during the summer clearance event, you'll find some of our best prices too. Like this lease on a 2017 Ram Quad Cab Express for $149 a month. Visit Pamby Motors, Route 7 in Richfield, PambyZone.com.
I'm Tracy Masella, a licensed clinical social worker at Silver Hill Hospital in New Canaan. Join me each month as we talk with experts on the front lines of the treatment of mental health and addiction. Straight Talk with Tracy, a Silver Hill Hospital production, airs at 12 p.m. on the second Thursday of each month here on the HAN network.
The leaves are changing, water temps dropping, and the sun is setting a little earlier each day. But there's still a lot of great boating, fishing, and coast time left before we see the first snow. And above all, remember, it's always summer at the Dock Shop. With loads of new fishing tackle and accessories, clothing, jewelry, and home decor, the Dock Shop is just what you need when you start to feel that New England autumn chill. Boater, beach bum, fisherman, or simply love the New England coast, this is a unique place to shop. The Dock Shop, 51 Tokenique Road, Darien, 609 Riverside Avenue, Westport, dockshop.com.
At Budget Blinds, we're in business to frame the light, the day, and the night. So we give you an exclusive combination of high style, expert service, our no surprises pricing, and our no questions asked warranty. We believe that everyone, at every budget, deserves style and service. Isn't that a beautiful place to be?
We know it's your busy season, and that's why Walter Stewart's Market is here to make things easy by offering the best of autumn under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market is your local one-stop fall shop. There are so many seasonal flavors to savor, and Stewart's has them all, from Blue Jay Orchard's local cider donuts to Vermont Farmstead cheddar and all of your favorite varieties of local apples and pears. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and find us at stewartsmarket.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through October 31st.
And welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HN Network. John Kovach, Kevin Coleman with you. And now we are joined by the sports editor of the New Canaan Advertiser, Dave Stewart. Dave, how's it going?
It's going pretty good. Getting ready for the big game this week with New Canaan and Greenwich and football. And then we also got some Darien and New Canaan soccer going on the next couple of days, which is always fun.
Well, which is always fun. You always talk about the New Canaan-Darien rivalry. But let's jump right into it. Saturday afternoon, it's going to be a lot of fun. 4 o'clock kickoff, the Marinelli Bowl. Get these two coaches back at one another, father, son, and you got New Canaan Greenwich going after one another. It's going to be at Cardinal Stadium. What do you expect this crowd to be like, Dave?
I think it's going to be pretty big. I mean, obviously, Greenwich is off to a really, really great start, 3-0. They're dominating all 3 games. And New Canaan seems to have that initial stumble, and they seem to have righted the ship. So I think everybody's all fired up for this.
Dave,
go way back, and the added spice, so to speak, of having Lou coaching against John Marinelli, and it should be a lot of fun. A Saturday afternoon game, just like the old days, not the Friday Night Lights stuff.
Dave, you have been sports editor of the New Canaan Advertiser for some time. Does it add a level to this rivalry that not only is Coach Lou Marinelli coaching against his son, he's coaching against his former quarterback?
I think the whole connection there, obviously with having the New Canaan guy over there coaching Greenwich with John is adds a little bit of a little bit to the plot, so to speak. I think at this point, though, I think it was really big the first year, and I think as we get further and further away from Johnny having coached at New Canaan and having more of an influence with the Greenwich program, I think it becomes less and less of a factor. Although I did talk to both of them yesterday, and Lou kind of has a bittersweet. As the father, Lou has a bittersweet, feeling to it, because no matter, like he was saying, he wants to see his son do well, but he wants to see his kids on the New Canaan team do well. So no matter which team wins, he's going to have a little bit of a bittersweet feeling to it. So he even said about Johnny, there's no way he can know what I feel because he doesn't have a son. As a parent, it's tough. So I think he feels it a little bit stronger than Johnny might. Although I think John feels that too.
And I think another matchup that intrigues me the most is the quarterback matchup we're going to see this weekend. Gavin Muir of the Cardinals and Drew Pine of the New Canaan Rams. What are you expecting from these two quarterbacks this weekend?
They've both been playing really well lately. Obviously, with the points that the offenses are putting up, it's been those are the guys kind of steering the ship. It's going to be interesting. I guess the one issue I would say from if you're Greenwich is that their defense is while it's played great, it's still fairly young. I believe they only have 3 starting seniors on that team, so they're all sophomores and juniors out there. And if you let down your guard at all, Drew Pine could really rip you apart. And you just wonder if the youth or the inexperience might show through, or if they're so fired up that they're able to overcome that. On the New Canaan side, I think that we saw the first week. The secondary really got lit up by St. Joseph in the loss, but they've kind of found their way against West Hill, their last game before the bye. The secondary was spectacular. 4 interceptions, a couple of pick sixes. It really looked great. So I think that's going to be key. How do those defenses respond to those two quarterbacks? Because those two quarterbacks, are going to give you something in a game like this.
Also, Dave, I think special teams is going to be key. We have seen New Canaan be victimized on special teams. At one point, opening night, St. Joe's had more blocked punts than New Canaan had first downs. We've seen Greenwich consistently go after the punt, and quite often get a block and a score early. That's something New Canaan's been working on?
Yeah, that has. I mean, they have a veteran back there with Grant Morse as a punter and kicker, so I think in his case he can handle it. It's how do they handle Greenwich up front? That's really there's not going to be any panic in Morse back there. But how often do we see in these big games, like you were saying, these special teams? We talk about what the offense will do against the defense and what this player might do against that player, and it's the special teams which, in the end make the difference. So it's definitely not something you can overlook. And I think, obviously at the high school level, it's even more prevalent, and Greenwich has done a great job with that. So that's definitely something New Canaan would have to be concerned with. Hasn't been an issue since that first week, but like you said, it was a really big issue that first week.
Dave, how important is it for New Canaan to really set the tone early? If they start with the ball, how important is it to really set the tone that first drive for the Rams?
I think that's a big thing because, as good as Greenwich has played, and they are 3-0 this year, they're off to a great start, made the playoffs last year. It's still, when you look at the FCAC, I still feel it's Darien and New Canaan at the top, and then everybody else is looking at them, regardless of what St. Joe's did that first week, which was a huge win for them. And in Greenwich's case, I think if Greenwich scores first, I think New Canaan's been there before, and they can handle that type of thing. If New Canaan scores first, or things go a little bit wrong, maybe for the Cardinals right off the bat, you just wonder how they're going to react. Like, is this the other shoe dropping at this point? And so I think that's what you got to watch out for with Greenwich. In talking to Johnny yesterday, that was kind of his feel on it too. He said, he said they're all fired up to play New Canaan, but his comment was, I just hope we don't come out scared 10 and over 10, and that we just play loose and play the way they're capable of playing. And he referred to New Canaan and Darien as the best, and that's who you want to play. So
well, that's who you want to be associated with.
What's that?
That's who you want to be associated with. Those two. Exactly.
Those are the teams. Those are really, they're really the measuring sticks. If you can play with them, even if you don't beat them, if you can play with them, stay in the same park with them, that really says something about where your program stands.
And we have seen Greenwich behind very briefly this season. In the opener against Trumbull, they fell behind after an interception, and then they scored 70 points and won by 54. Pitched a shutout against Norwalk the last time they played. What do you think about the way Greenwich schedules has fallen here? And it's something we're going to talk to with Frank about on pregame, Kevin. this is the 4th game for Greenwich. They have only played once since September 16th. They played Trinity Catholic September 16th. We brought you that game, 49-7 win. They were then off until October 2nd. They played Norwalk, won 48-0. And now it's 12 days from that Norwalk game before they take the field again for this big contest with New Canaan. What do you? It's going to be interesting, I think, Dave, to see if they're rested or if they're rusty.
I do think that's a concern. I was thinking about that when they played Norwalk, just because they had the bye and then the game and then another bye. I think it would be more of a concern if New Canaan hadn't had his bye last week.
Right.
So both teams have been off. New Canaan a little bit longer because they played on a Thursday night and then will have had over 2 weeks off.
And that is a great point, Dave, that New Canaan, it's even longer.
Right. I think it would be more of a concern if New Canaan had the bye. You do wonder if Greenwich or New Canaan comes out maybe a little bit sluggish in this game. I think once you get going in the game, like maybe sometime in the first quarter, maybe the first hit, maybe the first big play, maybe the first pass for some people. I think the juices will be flowing and they can kind of slide back into things. But having those 2 byes like that in 3 weeks, especially the way they were playing, I don't know that was ended up being the best thing for Greenwich. But hey, that's the schedule. You got to play with it at this point.
And it's even out. They're both coming from the same. Within a couple of days, they're both coming from that same boat, and we will see how that. Really almost makes this a bowl game. The amount of time they've had off.
Yeah, exactly. They've had a lot of time to prepare. That's one thing, and also too, it's going to help because you're going to have everybody out there. You're not really going to have any little dings or dents that were in there before. Everybody's probably in good shape now, and health wise, and that's going to be good because you want to have your best players on the field for a game like this, and regardless of the outcome, whoever wins or loses is going to be very interesting to see how these 2 teams move ahead, going forward to the rest of the season, because they both are obviously state playoff contenders, and they've still got some good teams on the schedule, but I think this is probably the toughest one they both have till Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it's going to be a fun one for sure, but we're going to step aside now. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. Looking forward to seeing you Saturday afternoon at Cardinal Stadium. Thanks, Dave.
Thanks a lot, guys.
Thanks, Dave.
John and I are going to step aside. We'll wrap this episode of Nutmeg Sports up when we get back after this.
We know it's your busy season, and that's why Walter Stewart's Market is here to make things easy by offering the best of autumn under one roof. Walter Stewart's Market is your local one-stop fall shop. There are so many seasonal flavors to savor, and Stewart's has them all, from Blue Jay Orchard's local cider donuts to Vermont Farmstead cheddar and all of your favorite varieties of local apples and pears. Walter Stewart's Market, 229 Elm Street, New Canaan, and find us at stewartsmarket.com.
Want a new experience in car buying? No aggravation, no confrontation, just answers to all your questions. Scap Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram. Car buying the way you want it to be. With one of the largest selections of new 2- and 4-door Jeep Wranglers available, we are Connecticut's Wrangler headquarters. Located in Fairfield, Connecticut, we're easy to get to. Just 2.5 miles off the Merritt Parkway, exit 44 via Route 58 South. Save thousands right now during the Jeep Celebration event and Ram Power Days. Now through October 31st.
At Black Horse Garage, we fulfill all your sports car needs. We specialize in manufacturer-recommended service and aftermarket high-performance parts and installation. We have one of the nation's top storage facilities and offer a high-end collision department that understands your need for detail. Visit blackhorsegarage.com for more.
The Kitchen Center offers quality cabinetry and affordable pricing. Visit our showroom for a free consultation with our professional design staff. For all your other home improvement needs, visit Northeast Building Supply, our full-service lumberyard and window showroom. The Kitchen Center, a division of Northeast Building Supply, 1470 Barnum Avenue, Bridgeport.
Dr. Stephen Molinaro and Peter Healy of Family Practice Dentistry and Laser Dental Care have served Ridgefield for over 22 years. Experienced staff offer gentle drillless techniques, preventative care, and cosmetic procedures in a relaxed environment. Grateful for the community's trust and support through the years, new patients and their families are welcome. Call today. Dr. Stephen Molinaro.
Welcome back to Nutmeg Sports here on the HN Network alongside John Kovash. I'm Kevin Coleman. We got A big weekend coming up ahead, John. We got boys soccer tomorrow. We've got Friday Night Lights between Darien at Staples, and then Saturday afternoon is the big one. We got New Canaan at Greenwich at 4 o'clock.
All starts tomorrow. We've got coffee break at 11, and then you've got boys soccer. Tell us about that matchup.
That's going to be a great matchup between easily one of the two top teams here in the FCAC. Stanford right now sitting at the 1 and 2 spot. Them and Richfield keep flopping back and forth, but that's going to be a great matchup. Stanford at home against a very strong, talented Norwalk team who's coming in. This is a Stanford team who can't take Norwalk lightly. You look at Norwalk's record, yes, they have a couple losses on their record, but this is a very talented, senior-heavy Norwalk team, John, and this is going to be a fun matchup. I know we've had some soccer games where we've had no goals, but tomorrow is going to be electric. I promise you.
You don't think we're going to see that? I think we'll see a couple?
We're going to see a couple tomorrow. We're going to see some guys who really flash some skills tomorrow. It's going to be a lot of fun. I promise you that.
I'll hold you to that.
You better. And then, of course, Friday, what are you expecting? Because, obviously we talked a lot already about Saturday afternoon. Darien at Staples. Darien coming in with that winning streak into Staples. We just at Staples last Friday. What are you expecting?
Darien's Darien, and they're going to come in and do what they do, and they're going to keep doing what they do until somebody stops them, and nobody's shown any ability yet to really do that. Staples has to, I think, keep it close. They've got to score early, just like we talked about with the Greenwich-New Canaan game. I think Greenwich has to, I can't jump ahead. I think Friday night, Staples has to score early, obviously get a couple of stops. They have to play their game. They have to establish the run better than they did against Ridgefield. Trouble is, I think they're up against a front line in Darien's that's better than they faced against Ridgefield. Will they be able to do that? And I'm not sure the answer is what Staples wants to hear.
Well, for Darien, do they try and attack that secondary like we saw Friday night? Richfield early on really attacked that secondary Staples. Do you expect to see Darien do the same thing?
Well, there's an interesting wrinkle in this that we haven't talked about yet, but Darien's secondary coach from last year is at Staples now, coaching that secondary. So a little bit of a wrinkle, there that we haven't talked about. And you had to be impressed with the athleticism from the Staples secondary, especially in the second half against Ridgefield. Second half. First half, they got shredded pretty hard. Second half, they made some very acrobatic plays, broke up some passes. Real highlight reel stuff for a whole half. How are they going to do that with Darien's routes? Let's see.
And Harris Levi, he got going in the second half. Do you expect him to get going early on?
Depends what his guys up front can do for him.
And then Saturday, quickly, you got the great matchup between Gavin Muir and Drew Pine. What are you expecting out of the two young quarterbacks?
I don't know. There's going to be a lot of pressure in it. I'm sure the coaches are telling them to let it run off of your back. Does it come down to the quarterbacks, or does it come down to some of the other guys on that? Does it come down to the receivers? Does it come down to special teams like we talked about with Dave Stewart? They're both young, so you're never really sure what you're going to get. Now, they've both faced a little bit of adversity. We'll see how seasoned they are and how well they do with the whole league watching, because 4 o'clock, that's a standalone game.
I think the whole state's going to be watching, but it's going to be a lot of fun. Well, tomorrow we have coffee break at 11 a.m. Boys soccer at 4 p.m. between Stanford and Norwalk. Alongside John Kovac, Kevin Coleman, I want to thank you guys for joining us today. Trinidad and Tobago, congrats, fellas. You learned that win last night. That'll do it for Nutmeg Sports here on the HAN Network. We'll see you tomorrow.